So imagine a million years
Right.
in the future. So it's one of the arguments often used to say there aren't any civilizations out there in the galaxy. It's called the Fermi paradox. Because if you imagine a civilization that's a million years ahead of us, they should have written their presence across the sky by now. You should see them. I mean, you'll see us. If we survive a million years into the future, actually even a few thousand years into the future, we will be exploring the galaxy. We will have spacecraft that are going to other stars. We will be doing it. So our signature will become visible, I'm sure, if we last into the medium term.
Would we choose to not do that? Here's my thought on that: is uncontacted tribes. Like,
Kill
do you know
confirmed.
about the gentleman who was the missionary who visited North Sentinel Island and was killed by the natives? North Sentinel Island, which is a really unusual place because they branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago, and they've been living on this one small island the size of Manhattan. And as well as we know, there's only about 39 of them left.
KIA confirmed.
And we're not supposed to contact them. Like, people are not supposed, we're supposed to, like, leave them alone. And a rare tribe. When they find them in the Amazon, the uncontacted tribe, our initial instinct is, leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Tag secure.
Like, if there is a civilization that's a million times more advanced than us, been around here for, millions of years of life as opposed to 250,000. Why would they let us know? Like, would they look at us dropping bombs on each other and polluting the ocean, sucking all the fish out, and putting clouds into the skies of dirt and particles? And why would they, like, look at these crude monkeys? Look at that. They're so far beyond where they need to be before they could join the galactic civilization network or whatever.
It is true. It's an argument that there is an argument as well that technology is so advanced would be difficult for us to detect. I mean, we tend to think of, when you say written across the sky, I suppose it's true. I'm thinking of starships and things like Star Wars, right? Big energy things that you can see the signature of. But actually, it may be that the civilization just becomes a nano civilization, tiny little nanobot, because that's more efficient. It's a better way to do things. So it's possible. There are space probes all over the place that are so small and are so efficient and use so little energy that we just don't see them. I suppose that is possible.
My other thought is that where we are headed, it seems to me that there's some sort of a strange symbiosis that's taking place. There's a strange connection that we have to electronics and ultimately to an artificial creation, artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call it, artificial life, something that's created by carbon-based beings, cellular beings that isn't cellular, but also acts like life. That this may be the future of life, that we are so connected to the idea of flesh and blood and bone
Hostile UAV
that
in the
maybe
area.
this is just a temporary situation
Friendly
until
UAV
we
on
transition. Or if not us transition, till it surpasses us. And this is the next stage of life. But this stage has no need for all the human and biological reward systems that are in place that made sure that we survive, whether it's ego or fear or emotions. No need for that. That it will just exist and maintain its equilibrium as this new form of life. And that this is the future of life in the universe, and that we'll get there. Maybe it'll only be 100, 200 years from now, but that's what exists all throughout the cosmos. So there's no need to peacock. There's no need to show our signal in the sky, and that it just exists in this form.
I agree. I wouldn't be surprised either. Yeah, so that's the counter argument to this Fermi paradox argument that I talked about. Well, exactly as you just said. That basically you evolve to a point very rapidly where you just don't create a signature.
Yes.
And you don't really get involved, as you said. Maybe
it just
maybe
maintains.
You just watch.
Like, well, it has no. Well, there's no motivation, right? Like, it doesn't. Our motivations are so weird, right? We have these biological motivations to survive and. There's motivations to conquer and to innovate and to spread our genes and to move into new territories. But if you didn't have biology, if you existed completely from man-made materials or from materials found on Earth, and that this new form of life was created out of that, it wouldn't have those unless you programmed them. And why would you do that?
It is interesting, isn't it, because we don't know what consciousness is.
Right.
So it's often called the hard problem in
Dropping
science.
ammo here.
We don't know. So it's a good question whether you can build. Let's say you want to build a self-replicating machine, which is what you're talking about.
Throwing
Something
septum!
that can go and maybe go to the moon or Mars and replicate itself and then carry on, which is a living thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Does it have to have a sufficient level of intelligence that it actually is conscious? And all these things that we talked about, this word meaning that we used earlier, that we all understand,
Yeah.
can't define, is that a emergent property that has to emerge if you've got something that's intelligent enough to replicate itself and live and, as you
Right.
said, be the... I don't know the answer, but it's worth considering that this thing, emotion, meaning, love and fear and all those things, are just the things that happen when you are intelligent.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that. But it could possibly be.
And does consciousness have to have a local origin? Like, does it have to come from a thing? Like, if you think about cellular communication, if you send me, if you're in England and you send me a video from your phone and it reaches my phone, it's getting to me through space. It's going through the sky. It's like literally from a device not connected by any wires or anything. It's coming to me. If there's a possibility to create some sort of global intelligence through electronics that's non-local, if one piece of it falls off, the same, it just repairs itself or figures itself out. But it's the same consciousness existing on a global scale through some sort of an electronic network. That instead of the idea that you and I have, that Brian and Joe, you have your mind, I have my mind,
Slade.
we exist as intelligent beings separate from each other. But instead of that all of it is connected, and that all of it is something that we can't even conceive of because our brains are too crude. Like trying to explain to Australia Pithecus what a satellite
Stand
is.
tall!
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, if you think about our brains, they are ultimately what are they? They're just a distributed network of cells
Dropping ammo
connected by
here.
neurons, and I mean they're very complicated, but they are a colony of things that are autonomous in a sense and are communicating with each other. So yeah, I don't see why you can't scale that up in principle. I mean, I should just the caveat is always that we don't know about this.
Yeah.
Enemies deployed a bomb
just
drone.
not understood.
Well, I think there's something weird
It's
happens.
physical though. I'm damn sure
Yes.
it's physical. I'm damn sure that there's nothing going on in my head other than what is allowed by the laws of nature as we understand them.
So eliminating
I'm
The
sure.
enemy's taking the lead.
the
Yeah.
idea of a soul being some sort of a divine thing that's inside the housing of the body.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we can rule that out.
Ammo box
I've
destroyed!
argued
out?
in the past.
How do you rule it out?
I've argued we can rule that out
Flash, watch your
in the
eye!
following. So here's my arm, right? So it's made of electrons and protons and neutrons. And if I have a soul in there, something we don't understand, but it's a different kind of energy or whatever it is that we don't have in physics at the moment, it interacts with matter because I'm moving my hand around. So whatever it is, it's
Confirmed.
something that interacts very strongly
Flash,
with
send
matter.
down! I'm taking
But if
fire!
you look at the history of particles studying matter, we spent decades
Watch your
making
fire!
high precision
I'm reloading!
measurements of how matter behaves and interacts. And we look, for example, for a fifth force of nature. So we have four forces: the gravity, the two nuclear
Confirm that one.
forces called the weak and strong nuclear forces, and electromagnetism. And that's what we know exists. And we look for another one with ultimate high precision, and we don't see any of it. So I would claim that we know how matter interacts at these energies, so room temperature now.
Dropping ammo
These
here!
energies, we know how matter interacts very precisely. And so if you want to suggest there's something else that interacts with matter strongly, then I would say that it's ruled out. I would go as far as say it is ruled out by experiment, or at least it is extremely subtle. And you would have to jump through a lot of hoops to come up with a theory of some stuff that we wouldn't see
Tactical
having observed how
confirmed.
matter interacts, that is present in
1
our
minute
bodies.
left.
And presumably, if you believe in the soul, you want it to exist outside when you die. You still want the thing to be there, and you might believe in ghosts and things like that. And look at a ghost. And it's something that carries the imprint of
Not
you,
one.
presumably, it looks like you. Right? So that means that it interacts strongly with the matter that is you, because it carries a pattern. If it carries a pattern, it carries
Confirm that one.
information. If it carries information, there has to be an energy source that allows that information to persist and the pattern to persist and so on. So again,
30
you end up
seconds
with
remain.
a theory that is postulating something. It interacts with light, because if you think a ghost is the soul, then it's something that people see sometimes. So that means it interacts with light.
Enemy
But we
UAV
know
active.
how light interacts, and we've ruled out anything but the most
10
subtle,
seconds remaining.
further interaction that we haven't seen. So I claim, and I started off as a joke. This actually, I wrote it in
Hostile
an
care
Infinite Monkey
package
Cage book,
deployed.
this radio show that I do. But it ended up when I'd written it down. I thought actually that it
Mission
makes sense.
complete.
And I read something
Solid
similar
work.
actually. I think Sean Carroll. I don't know if you've had Sean on the
Yes,
show.
a couple times.
He's said something the same in the book that he wrote, The Big Picture. It's a similar argument actually. So it's occurred to him as well. It's roughly the same.
So if you, so this energy that's interacting with matter, even if you're not moving at all, if you're just thinking, it's interacting with the matter that encompasses your mind or your brain or your nerves or your neurons.
Yeah.
It's something in there that's interacting with matter, whether you like it or not. So even just a simple thought process or a dream is still something that's interacting with matter.
Yeah. Well, obviously, because it's
Right.
your will, isn't it? In that sense,
Yeah.
when you move, it's presumably
Right. So
moving
but
it.
even if you're not moving, you're